Hello. Right. Well, this is the first time I've done one of these, YouTube video that is. It just felt like it was a good time to, I don't know, just create some sort of record of my thinkings, feelings, musings, whatever's. Writing is great. I do quite a lot of that anyway, but there's something about, just thinking aloud and riffing on things that has a very different quality to it, and it's not something I'm used to, so I thought I'd give it a go, see how it feels. So given as it's my first time, be gentle, please, or don't. I mean, if I find you irksome, I will jog you on, as I would do in the real world. I apply that rule. I find it's one of those that you can apply perfectly well in the real world as you can in the online world. So anyway, all that being said, yeah, I mean, I thought what I'd speak about in this video largely is the moon, amongst other things, given that we're living in a somewhat lunatic age, which I don't think is any kind of exaggeration or insult to lunatics. We all seem to be, or say we, people generally seem to be giving them a pretty good run for their money, really. And yeah, and I've been taking a bit more interest in the moon lately than I have done in previous years. I suspect, like a lot of us, I've been yeah, sort of delving into things that maybe for whatever reason didn't have the time or the inclination to do so before now. So today is the 26th of May 2021. Just turn around, see the date dragon confirms, I hope. You can see him there. Yes, he says it is the 26th of May. That's probably back to front. Oh, never mind. Never mind. I know what day it is, and it will probably be going out on the same day anyway. So, well, we've had those of us in the southern hemisphere have experienced what looks like a very beautiful lunar eclipse. We've got the Sagittarian full moon that began last night, Tuesday, into the Wednesday morning. I gather that is also known as the flower moon or the blood moon, I think, although the clouds over my part of the world, which is the southeast of England, you couldn't see anything. Barest glimmer of lunar luminosity came through. It was yeah, just absolutely blanketed with clouds last night, and as well as the moon being in Sagittarius, the sun is in Gemini, and as you may well know, most of you probably will be aware of the opposition that creates. If you look at the signs of the zodiac on a wheel, you'll see the sun, that the Sagittarius is in opposition to Gemini, so there's that kind of air fire combustibility sort of energy going on. Or at least that's what I'm feeling right about now. It sort of feels a little bit, I don't know, on a knife edge. Which way is it going to go? And I should say at the outset that I'm not an astrologer. I claim absolutely no expertise whatsoever in astrology. I'm not even an enthusiastic amateur. I'm just someone who takes an interest in it and uses it as a tool and applies it as best I can in my daily life, and hopefully learns something from it. But yeah, so just to put that out there, I'm certainly not claiming that I know everything, even that I know not even that I know a great deal about astrology, because I don't. I just notice things and make notes of things. And I'm also a Sagittarian, and the essence of a Sagittarian is expansiveness, growth, freedom. We love freedom. We love being liberated. We, not to say that we're irresponsible all of the time, but we like our freedom. We like to police our own boundaries, because we believe that that is a job best done by us as individuals, not something that should be visited upon us by others who assume that they know better. But obviously the feeling right now, the feeling that most of us have been living under for the last 14 months is anything but expansiveness and liberation and freedom. It's been all about restriction and limitation and hemming in, and yeah, you couldn't get more antithetical to the nature of Sagittarius if you tried. Just the path that the UK has been following, and Ireland and many other countries around the world have been following, seemingly sleepwalking into. And this is starting to chafe on sane people. It's been chafing on the tribe since day one. The tribe, obviously, I mean those of us who, on the various highways and byways of the World Wide Web, have found each other. Thomas Sheridan is probably the linchpin for most of us. He's the spoke at the centre of the wheel. That's, we've kind of coalesced in this very nice informal way, usually through watching his videos and a number of other people, and we've connected on Facebook and via YouTube, and we've got this what I feel is a really nice collective, a very informal one, and certainly not an ideological one, definitely a non-conformist one, but one that has been really supportive and has been a great source of ideas and just sanity, frankly, over the past 14 months, and that is in no small part due, I think, to the fact that a lot of us have found that the relationships that we would have assumed that we could rely on in times of crisis, we haven't been able to. I mean, some of us are fortunate. I have a good relationship with my partner and my nearest and dearest. I know not everyone has had that experience, and a number of us have lost close friends and family members, and work colleagues that we may have had perfectly civil relations with. We've just found that there's a gulf that is a gulf that's just too far to bridge, and that's tough. I mean, that's that is tough when you think that you think you've got your network, and then it just kind of collapses in front of your eyes. It's anyway, it was really brought home to me quite how stark some of the differences are between me, members of the tribe on the one hand, and what I will just politely term the rest of the world. We had a discussion at work via Teams, because our organisation is starting to get people back into the office, but with various restrictions being lifted on the 17th of May and supposedly further opening up next month. And so there was a meeting for us to just discuss any concerns, issues that people may have had, and it became apparent that there's some perfectly nice people who have concerns, whether those concerns are well-founded or not. They genuinely believe them to be true, and it's based on their circumstances. There's one lady, very nice lady, whose father-in-law died of COVID, and a number of her don't think they were her relatives, but certainly people that she knew, people within her friendship circle. And in total, she had known 6 people who died, which that really pricked my ears up. It was always the discussions with other friends of mine who are of a more tribal persuasion, not in the tribe, but they think a lot more like we do than this lady I'm describing does. And they said, do you actually know anyone who's had COVID? I mean, I've had it. I'm not dead. My uncle had it and he passed away, but he was 91 years old and he was very ill. And frankly, it was his time a long time ago. So I kind of don't count him, actually. He was a very old man who died, and he happened to have had COVID at the time that he died. But anyway, back to my work colleague, the very nice lady who is almost beside herself with panic at the idea of coming into the office. Listening to her with, certain degree of sympathy, but okay, eventually there comes a time when you have to move beyond this and obviously take whatever personal precautions you feel you need to take, but you can't refuse to come into the office forever. Contrast with another colleague, also a lady, who was extremely vexed at the idea that she might have to come into an office where not everybody was vaccinated, and was demanding to know what the office policy was about that. Were they going to mandate vaccination as a condition of returning to the office? And obviously I was interested in what the answer was to that. There is no answer at the moment, and I think it is unlikely that our workplace would be mandating that. I think that they are not quite insane enough, and I don't think that our government is quite insane enough to mandate vaccination as a, requiring you to have a vaccine before you can go into an office, get on a plane, go to a concert, just do normal everyday things. But yeah, I mean, it was the contrast between those two people, one of whom most people would feel instinctive sympathy with because she had, as a person who'd been bereaved, and the other who you just think, my God, should I be measuring you up for a uniform and jackboots, honey? What? Yeah, just, I was absolutely, I was really quite taken aback by that, because obviously you read a lot on message boards and on Twitter and various other places of people who have very strong opinions about whether they want to be in the same room as someone who's vaccinated or not, but to actually be confronted with it by someone, someone who someone in your own team at work, is a bit different. You think, my God, they live. They really do. And I mean, with that person, I think, to be honest, she wasn't motivated. I don't think that is motivated by genuine concern for one's own health or the health of one's loved ones. It's someone who's so used to being controlled, having been controlled incessantly for the past 14 months, that any relaxation or suggestion of relaxation of control is just anathema and dangerous. And the frazzled, frightened brain cannot compute that, just can't let it in. And I noticed on the sort of chat, because we're quite a big team and not everybody had the opportunity to speak or wanted to speak, and there were people on the chat that were asking questions in the similar line. There were not a huge number of them, but I'm assuming there are people who also feel that way, who just have not chosen to voice it at the moment, but may be galvanised by this sort of rather bold, strident, unpleasant attitude of some of their colleagues into expressing those views, which fine, yeah, I guess they can express those views if they want. they're not necessarily entitled to have their views respected, because as I say, I hope, I believe, actually, I don't just hope, I do believe that our nation is not quite that insane as to mandate something as serious as mandating vaccines for every member of the population. But yeah, so yeah, a bit of a wee wake-up call, another in a long series of wake-up calls that we have been provided with of late. But yeah, getting back to the moon. This full moon is the last full moon before the summer solstice on the 21st of June. So it feels like there is a sort of pause between, you know, in terms of the cycle of the year, between getting to the midpoint of the year, approaching the start of the dark half. From the 21st of June onwards, the Holly King defeats the Oak King, and the days get shorter and darker, and we move towards Samhain and midwinter. And yeah, as you will know if you're in the UK, by, I'm sure, complete coincidence, the 21st of June is the date that the government selected to announce supposedly the removal, virtually complete removal of COVID restrictions. But I think the suspicion, if not the expectation, is that we're not quite free of those binds just yet. I'm an optimist by nature, being a Sagittarian. It's kind of what I do. I tend to look on the bright side. I tend to, you know, try and see opportunities rather than downfalls. But yeah, equally, you don't live in denial of reality. You have to take your rosy tinted specs off and see things for what they are. But yeah, sorry, slight tangent, but still, I guess, on the subject of the moon. Obviously this is a full moon. I mean, personally, I'm more of a dark moon person, by which I mean the time when the moon is hidden. It's becoming new before it begins its next cycle of waxing, getting big and fat and full again. That's the time that I prefer, or I feel more in tune with. I think, being basically quite a solitary person, that speaks to me more, and it's at that time that I make offerings, and I sort of go inward, and I reflect, and I kind of I feel a lot of affinity with the goddess Hecate, who is very much associated with the dark moon. And I mean, I don't worship her. As Thomas has said, pagans worship is not really what we do. That's it's not a very apt word, but we honour, we make offerings, we sacrifice, and we work with the energy as and when we feel it appropriate to do so. And that's for me, that's a good system. It works, and it's been a hugely helpful tool for me in navigating all of this craziness. And you know, not just the past year. It's obviously we're a lot more than the last 12 months. Every single one of us, we've got you know, this doesn't define us, but it's certainly, I think, helped shape who we will be going forward. And I've certainly found that paganism has been just so much, just such an amazing tool, an amazing method for navigating that. But it works. I don't think I need to explain it. I don't think I can explain it, frankly. I'm just quite content to go with the fact that it works, and enjoy that. But I did actually, last night, I did make some full moon water. It's just tap water, but you know, it doesn't matter. If it had been raining, that would have been even better. Get the full moon rain, collect it in the jar, and I put it on my little altar in the garden so it could absorb the clouded rays of or clouded light of the full moon. And I've been sipping at it throughout the day, and very, very good it is too. And I've also been, for the last, I don't know, 20 minutes or so, sipping on this very fine Pinot Grigio that I get from my favourite little local shop, which has never, as far as I'm aware, asked anyone ever to wear a mask. They don't wear masks, they don't give a fuck, and they are fantastic, and they will always have my custom. They're a bit more expensive because they're like a spa, that kind of thing, but nice people, do the basics, wine and backy and OK magazines when the mood takes me, and yeah, people like that have also been just the ordinary business that's trying to get by. They don't want to make life difficult for people. They equally don't want to get fined, but they're not going to bust your balls. You come in without a mask, they're not going to say, "Oh, are you exempt? Where's your mask?" They're just going to serve you politely, make some small talk maybe, and say good evening and see you again. Again, it's a good system, I think. It would be so much better if all businesses would behave in a like way. But anyway. So what else? What else can we say about the moon? Well, I did actually do a bit of reflecting last night on how things had gone. Again, referring back to the midpoint of the year upcoming, the turning point. And frankly, autumn, winter of last year was pretty torrid time for me. On a personal level, it was. I'm glad it's over. It was quite stressful at some points. So I think just before Christmas we went into third fucking lockdown in the UK. I mean, I spent Christmas with my loved ones, which was going to happen anyway. There was no way on this green earth that wasn't going to happen. And it wasn't just about the lockdown. It was just a whole conjunction of circumstances that just made things very trying. But I feel that that has passed, and a bit more ease and equilibrium is generally coming into view. Although, I think we're not out of the woods, not by a long chalk. This has still got some cards to play. This little game, which is how I look at it. I think when you start looking at things as a game, it sort of robs them of a lot of their power over you, actually. And then you can kind of see ways that you can also play the game or play a different game, and you can work out new rules that you want to play by, rather than seeing things as always necessarily being done to you. It gives you a bit more autonomy. But yeah, I think in the current circumstances, you do what you can. You live your life as best you can, and to the extent that you can avoid absurd restrictions, then you do. You don't make a song and dance about it. You be canny. You go about your business, but you do your own thing, and you slip under the radar. And I suspect that a lot of us in the tribe have actually got quite good at doing that. Got quite good at being invisible, in effect. I know that's a subject that Thomas has talked about. I'm not necessarily talking about it in the sense that he was, but that kind of, you camouflage yourself. You don't necessarily conform, but you don't draw unwanted attention to yourself. And we've probably all developed our own ways of doing that, of having our own cloak of invisibility, so to speak, that we can pull on and get us through normal life, or life in the normie world, I should probably say. And yeah, and being as it's the full moon, I've been reflecting on challenges and yeah, how have I met them? Have I? Sorry about that. Just a bit of a bit of domestic stuff going on that I needed to go and sort out, but that's sorted. So, right. Back to the full moon reflections, challenges. Yes, challenges. I was having a conversation with my partner last night. We don't live together at the moment. We kind of bop between each other's places. He's in London, I'm in Essex, so it's not too bad. We make it work, basically. And he's the sort of person who gets very angry at behaviour, at unpleasant behaviour, disrespectful behaviour, which nothing unusual there necessarily. But he said that he noticed that I tend to get angry at more philosophical things. So not necessarily someone being, directly unpleasant to me or, behaving badly towards me, but more at the kind of, how can I put it? I think what it is, I get angry with stupid ideas that gain traction, because stupid ideas that gain traction lead to stupid bovine behaviour, which in turn ultimately will adversely impact on my life and on things that I care about. And I think he's right about that. And I've been reflecting on how I might do better at just letting those sort of feelings pass. I don't know, a bit more kind, not kind of love and light or anything like that, but yeah, getting less vexed by things that are ultimately out there and sort of beyond my control. You just have to accept that things like that are just the way they are, and you protect yourself as best you can. So there's that. I've also more pragmatically, more definitively, I've been planning some trips that I've actually got dates in the diary for when I'm going to go to Glastonbury and to Avebury again. I've been to both of those places several times before, but Avebury is a really, really special place in the southwest of England. Just sitting by those wonderful old stones is the best therapy I think anyone could ever have. And it's just been really nice sort of getting that kind of all the ducks in a row lined up for that. And right, okay, on the 24th of July, we're going to Avebury. September, we're going to Glastonbury. Bing, bish, bash, bosh. That's something to look forward to, essentially. So yeah, there's been actually, as in actually sort of putting, making these things a reality, because I really think you get a bit kind of, I don't know, a bit sluggish, a bit, I haven't really been anywhere, can't really go anywhere, don't know what to do. Yeah, well, no, we can start going on trips, we can start, enjoying that great big world out there to some extent, and frankly, no one can take that away from you. No one can take the great outdoors away from you, no matter how they try. So yeah, been that, and also reflected on the fact that I've got a lot closer to my family, my daughter in particular, with whom I've been living since March last year. And having to live in the same house as someone for 14 months is, I won't say it hasn't been trying at times, especially as she was completing the final year of her degree during that time. and also with her daughter in tow. So we've got 3 generations of women under the same roof, which is always a bit of a challenge, but we've got there, and we've actually, we've boxed and coxed, and I think it's actually been a really good thing. It's actually been really, really positive, and we've, I think, got a better understanding of each other than we had before. And again, you sort of, been there for each other when we needed to be. And my partner and I have also likewise been there for each other when, frankly, no one else was. He recently had to jog on his oldest friend. This chap and his partner are completely in the thrall of the COVID demon, and they wouldn't come. We'd been trying to arrange to meet up with them for some time, and they suggested a particular date, and we said, yeah, absolutely. We went over to theirs in February last year for his birthday. Said, oh, you come over to my partner's place in London, we'll cook dinner, They, having agreed upon a date, then said, okay, well, yeah, can we actually, we don't want to come to your place, can we make it in a pub closer to where we live, because on that date we won't have had our second COVID vaccines and we're a bit worried. At which point Mark, my partner, just blew his top and called them out, and called them out on it. And I mean, it's, to be honest, it's not the first time that something like that's happened. They're the sort of people that will make plans, and then you'll find on the day that you're meant to be meeting up, their plans will be changed, or they will attempt to change the plans, and it will become increasingly apparent that they've had a better offer, or something, or they just can't be asked to leave their house or do whatever. And this was the case before COVID was even a thing. They were, really quite selfish, really. And we'd on numerous occasions had gone along with the change of plans, sort of really feeling a bit, well, it's a bit rum, isn't it? They've got us trekking over the whole of London to go to where they want to be, and they're never prepared to meet us halfway. So yeah, it basically came to a head. They were called out, and that's a friend of 30 years who's been jogged on. But as I say, there were signs of that's not that, obviously COVID has not made them into those people. They were always those people who were quite selfish and disrespectful, frankly. Not particularly good friends in many respects. And yeah, something like this kind of brings out those qualities and lays them bare, and you, to the point where you just can't overlook it. You can't overlook it. You can't be so badly disrespected by a so-called friend and have any sort of relationship with them. So yeah, that was something else obviously sad. That was a friend of 30 years. That was my partner's oldest friend. So he's sad about that, but equally, you put someone under pressure, you see who you are. You see who they are. Are they a diamond or are they a dud? And as we know, there's a lot more duds than diamonds. So yeah, that's it. You again, as Thomas would say, the greatest education. You really do. You see who's there for you and who isn't. Anyway, rounding off, this has been pleasant. Well, it has been for me anyway, and I hope it has been for some of you. I got this wonderful book. I'll see if I can show you. This wonderful book, which again is showing opposite way round. It's called The Book of Symbols, Reflections on Archetypal Images, and it is what my other half got me for Christmas, and it is absolutely brilliant. It's got it covers things in the plant world, the animal world, the spirit world, the human world, things about the creation and the cosmos, and it goes into what their symbolic significance is. And I decided to myself last night what I would do is I would pick a page at random, see what it says, and I would share it with you this evening. And the page that I randomly picked last night was on, how appropriate, that says cockroach, the humble cockroach. not a popular creature, I think it's fair to say. But I read it, and I'm going to read just the last paragraph for you and see what you make of it. Worldwide, the cockroach has been a source of human food and medicines for a host of human ailments, suggesting a secret affinity with us. Though it may carry the contaminants of an environment, like inner city tenements, where it was once thought to be the source of high levels of asthma, the cockroach itself has not been found to cause disease. But the cockroach is not a creature of light, which perhaps fosters our aversion to it. It prefers to be hidden. It prefers darkness and the earth, like leaf litter of forests, where it is ecologically essential to the production of compost. The cockroach is also a frequent and familiar visitor to the netherworld of our dreams, often signalling by its antique presence the activation of an old, complex, or an impending regression. And who better than this ancient one to pick up the energies brewing at the psyche's archetypal core? Who indeed? I thought it was kind of amusing the way that, possibly like you, all of my news feeds, a lot of them are constantly popping up with adverts about insects and cockroaches in particular being good to eat and delicious, and the the future of human nourishment apparently. But yeah, it also struck me, given the primal nature of the fear that seems to have infected so many people over the last year, perhaps the cockroach has some lessons for us. Anyway, I think I'm going to wrap it up there because that's gone half an hour, which is way longer than I was intending to speak for. So I will say goodbye. God's bless, and I hope you find something of interest and sufficient that you'd like to return. And time permitting, God's willing, I'll see you soon. Night night.